Welcome back, everybody, to another video from the Southern Outdoorsman. I am Andrew Maxwell, one of the hosts, and one thing we talk on the podcast a lot about is pines and hunting pines, and that can be kind of an intimidating thing for a lot of people. Pines are they can be kind of monotonous, especially in timber country, and it can be kind of hard to tell what you're walking into if you're just map scouting. So today we're going to be looking at how to tell how thick a pine stand is based on a satellite image. So we're going to use two different softwares for this. We're going to use onX Maps and Google Earth, and I'm going to show you the differences of the two and why you should probably use both of them. So we'll start off with onX Maps, and this is a little public land area here in central Alabama. It's actually a park, non-hunting land, so we're not burning any spots here. And if you look, you can see that everything looks really green because onX uses summertime imagery here, which is horrible. So if anybody from onX is watching this, please give us wintertime imagery. We'd really appreciate it. So as you can see, everything just looks green, but you can tell that some things look kind of different. This right here, for instance, these are going to be your hardwoods. If we zoom in and look at the canopies, we can see that these canopies are obviously a lot bigger, a little bit different colors, and I don't know, they just kind of look deciduous. And this is something that you'll learn more and more as you kind of branch out and do a little bit more mapping in the field. Let's look down here now. So this area, you can see kind of this transition between these two habitat types. This area is actually going to be pine trees, and this is what you would call like a stem exclusion stage of pine trees. So you can see these are super tightly packed in here. There's not going to be anything growing underneath that because these pine trees are so close together. You know, they're growing straight up and the canopies are growing into each other. And so there's no sunlight getting through, which, you know, it's kind of the same thing over here in these hardwoods. You know, you get into hardwoods usually and it's very, very open underneath. There's not just like a lot of thick cover down there or anything like that. And it's going to be the same way with these pines, except the pines never lose their needles. So it's completely shaded out all year long. And just for comparison, if you look over here, you can see that we have a more fresh cutover, and you can see some trees starting to grow up into this cutover on onX right here. So that's two pretty decent examples of stuff that's going to be like really open underneath. No thick cover, no understory whatsoever. If we go over here, we see another pine stand just south of where we were just looking. We see another pine stand. And you can see gaps in it. So this right here, there's a gap. This might be a little gap right here on this edge. This is definitely a gap in this corner, which is quite interesting. That'd be a really cool spot to check out. If we look down at the river over here, this is interesting. I didn't notice this before. This looks like some kind of gap in the canopy where there's looks like definitely some dead trees in here. That's going to be thick, okay? So anywhere where there's gaps in the trees like that, right here is another one. You can see that there's no trees right there, so you're going to have thick cover. There's going to be briars. There's going to be honeysuckle, jasmine, all these things that grow up and provide good cover and good food for deer. Here's another one. Now let's go across the road. We have yet another pine stand. And this one, you can see that the canopies are a little bit bigger than what's on this side of the road. And you can see kind of the ground in between them. So this same kind of stuff right here, these gaps in the canopy on the right side of the road are going to be also visible over here, but they're like in between every single tree. So this is all completely thinned out. These pines were thinned probably, I don't know, 6 or 7 years ago. So that's allowed sunlight to get through that canopy, causing all that underbrush to grow up, which is going to give you good bedding cover and good food. So really, really valuable stuff to know about in a hunting situation. And you can see just all this through here. This is going to be all thick underneath. It's going to be a really great place to hang out if you're a deer. So if we switch over to Google Earth now, check this out. So same area. But we got a wintertime image now. And this is our hardwoods that we were looking at initially. Here's our pines. Again, this looks like a green carpet. That's my favorite way to describe this kind of stuff. This is a green carpet of pine trees. That's literally what it looks like. And when you have that, there's just not going to be anything underneath. If we look down here, again, same thing, green carpet effect. But we have these gaps in it. Those gaps, those edges within that thing are going to hold your thicker cover. And if deer are traveling through here, they're probably using that in some capacity. But let's look over at our thin pines. So I really like this spot for a comparison because you can see the things right next to each other. But yeah, this is what that looks like. So again, this is your stem exclusion is like the forestry term for it, where these pine trees are growing so close together, so densely that they're excluding all the stems underneath. Nothing can grow underneath there. You're not going to have those briars and blackberries and whatnot, greenbrier, jasmine, honeysuckle. That's just not really going to be in there except for in those little gaps in the canopy. So again, stem exclusion, it's shaded out. Nothing really for a deer up underneath there. Let's look over at the thin pines. Again, you can see over here plenty of gaps in the canopy. You can see the ground. That's the main thing. If you're in the south and you can see the ground, it's probably going to be thick. If you can see the ground on your satellite image, that means that sunlight is getting to it, therefore stuff can grow there. And the only thing that's going to prevent that is either some like really bad soil, like rocky soil conditions, like a glade, or if it's very frequently burned or something like that, that'll keep that vegetation low. But I mean, this right here is going to be thick. And I actually know that this is thick because me and Michael Pike did a scouting video on this place a couple years back, actually. So you can actually go check out that scouting video and see these exact thickets that we're talking about. It's a pretty fun video to make. We actually dropped a bunch of Onyx pins while we scouted this place and linked those in the description. So you can go to that video and watch us scout this stuff and then grab those pins and they'll save right onto your phone, and you can look on your phone and see exactly what we're talking about and how it compares to kind of get a feel for everything. So that's pretty cool. The last thing I'm going to show you about this is how this looks through the years. So if you don't have Google Earth for your desktop, get it. It's really great. It's free. It's perfect for deer hunters because you got this tool right here. Okay, you've got this thing where you can go zip back through historical imagery. So if we look at our little date box right here, we're in August of 2021. So this is a pretty actually this is March 2021. So this is a very, very recent image. This is from earlier this year, which is great. Let's start going back and back. Let's keep going back. So we can see this down here is still thinned. You know, this is stem exclusion, this is stem exclusion, this is still a cutover. Keep going back, back some more, back to 2012. Okay, here we go, 2012. Back in 2012, this right here, brand new cutover, probably a couple years old. We go back a little further and find the exact age, but that's not quite what we're looking at right now. But so if we look at this cutover, you can see these pine trees are just little tiny pine trees right now. Just like probably no more than knee high on the ground. This is all still stem exclusion, so this is just a desolate wasteland under the canopy of this right here. There's not going to be really anything useful for deer up there. Again, we got our cut over here, and you'll notice that our thin stand, but pre-thinning, is also a desolate wasteland. I mean, this is, again, green carpet. You don't like green carpets. They're ugly, they're terrible, they're horrible. That's what that looks like. That's a green carpet. This is September 2012. Let's fast forward. The next image was taken in December of 2013, and now everything has changed here. So, well, this hasn't changed. This is still, again, horrible stem exclusion for the last 10 years. So we'll just, this is not good up here. But we'll look at these two to kind of finish out the video. And now we see that our cutover, in just a year's time, these trees have really shot up. These are probably about my height, about maybe 5-6 feet tall now. And the cutover is still going to be thick, but not nearly as thick. And we can see these are all slash piles where they take all the basically leftovers from where they logged it and they pile them up, and that's what causes those gaps that we were looking at earlier. This is not stem exclusion yet. This is still a great bedding thicket, great bedding, a lot of food. But this is the first year that our pines over here have been thinned. So this is the first year that the canopy was opened up, that sunlight was allowed to go through, and from that year until today, this place has been getting thick. It's been growing a lot of good deer food, basically. So this has been a really good place for those deer to hang out for a long time, which we saw in that other scouting video where we went in here and we noticed that there was a ton of browse on this area. We found some beds, I believe, in there and everything. And so, again, let's just like flip through these real quick. And you can see how the pine thicket on the right just changes throughout the years. And that canopy gets thicker and thicker, not the understory. The canopy gets thicker and thicker, and that shades out all of that good stuff underneath that those deer need. So that's kind of an explanation of how you can tell what's going to be thick versus what is not going to be thick on the map. A good rule of thumb is just going to be If you can see it, if you can see the ground on the satellite image, it's probably going to be thick. If it looks like a green carpet, it's not going to be thick. Again, man, I know we sound like a broken record, but we're going to say it in every video. Just go out there, scout it, check it out for yourself, and learn what you're looking at on the map. Get something like maybe onX Maps and go out in the field and just use it and look at where you're at on that map and study what your surroundings look like, and you'll learn very quickly how to read that map effectively. And you'll learn how to tell what's thick versus what is not thick, because that's really useful to know if you're going in blind before daylight and you walk into a pine thicket that you get all tangled up in it. It's horrible and there's sadness. So definitely want to figure that out. But thanks, guys, for watching this video. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe to the channel. Drop a comment below on some stuff you'd like to hear more about. And definitely subscribe to the podcast as well. Every single Monday, we interview guys, local guys who hunt stuff just like this, whether they're in a hunting club or hunting a WMA or a national forest. Guys who have crazy success killing nice deer in this stuff every single year. We get their tips and tactics every Monday. Have been doing it for 3 years now. Haven't missed a Monday yet. So make sure you go subscribe to that. You'll get a lot of deer hunting information plugged right into your phone every single Monday. So appreciate you guys listening. Appreciate you guys watching. And I hope y'all have a great deer season.